Alright, welcome back to the channel. We are taking a look at some very, very special content today. So I got this sweet little care package delivered to me by the good folks over at Venture Electronics. If you haven't heard of them, they are a pretty sweet hi-fi brand that have some pretty sweet products, as far as my experience with them has been thus far. Thank you very much, Lee, for sending me these. I gotta go ahead and give a shout out where the shout out is due. So, of course, this video is gonna be a little different than my usual reviews. It's not gonna be the usual format that you've grown accustomed to. We're just gonna talk about stuff here. Take a look at it. It's barely even scripted, honestly. And I'll mention some things here and there, my personal experiences, a couple details. So, let's not waste any more time. Let's get into it. So let's start off with one of my personal favorites here, and pretty much it's a fan favorite from Venture Electronics themselves. We're looking at the Monk Plus. So these have been standing around for like years. These have been a thing. Venture Electronics, synonymous with Monk Plus. Yeah, you really can't go wrong with these here. I bought a pair for myself about 3 to 4 years ago, and guess what? I still use those to this day and age. Yeah, that's all there is to it. Nothing much in the package. It's a nice little thing. I gotta say, I love this right here. I love the way you did this. It's, I don't know, something I wouldn't have thought of, but I'm glad you thought of it, because that is a great way to show off your brand. I think so. So there it shows the impedance level 64 ohms, sensitivity 116 decibels per milliwatt. Yeah, let's take a look at these. So they come wrapped in pretty tight, nice and tight. It's the smoke finish, which means it is translucent, but it's got a darker shade to it. I personally prefer the smoke. I wish I had a smoke, but the lighter translucent finish is the one I prefer, but I really like this one too. It's just so nice to be able to see the internals on a headphone. So nice. Now it does come with a bit of an X-Pack light here. So that doesn't come with any wingtips or anything special like that. It's just a bunch of muffs. So you can see it's got red, black, blue, orange. It's you can mix and match, of course. Pick and choose whichever you prefer. So one of the things I'm going to do here is, I'll be right back actually. Would you look at that? My OG pair of VE Monks. It looks like a similar shell, but I don't think it is the same shell. Unless mine just grew darker and... This is the pair I have owned for about 3 to 4 years now. As you can see, these poor little muffs here are kind of like just dying on me. These are the last ones I have from the original pair I received. And by the way, if you're thinking about it, spend on the big X-Pack. Don't spend on the X-Pack Lite. I'm telling you why. Because running out of these is just such a sad thing. Because you can use the headphone, but not really, because you can't use it to its true potential. It's got that one button mic to it, Android. As I was saying, one of the things I'm going to do here is I'm going to let these burn in a little, just, make sure they work properly. And once I do, I'm going to compare the sound of these to the sound of those and see if there were any changes in the tuning, or if the tuning itself changes after a couple of years of ownership. Now, here's the cool thing about these. These were literally like $6. Literally $6. And they deliver such a pretty great quality for $6 in my opinion. And what's good about them is they're not bloated. They're not blown out of proportions. There's nothing like amazing about them either, but they're very competent, and they don't fall under the flaws of a cheap headphone that tends to like want to just blow a bunch of bass at you and have the mids and the highs be absolute garbage. That's what I enjoy about these. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I will get back on the part 2 of this review. By the way, that's part of how I'm going to go ahead and go about this here. I'm going to record the first part now and present everything, unbox it, show it off, and then I'm going to personally test them and come back within the same video, of course, and let you know what I think. How did it go for me? Any pros and cons? That type of thing. So next up, let's take a look at this dongle that they sent me here. This is the Odyssey HD, small but formidable. As you can see, it's compatible with multiple operating systems here. Android, Apple, Microsoft, Penguin, I'm kidding, Linux, PS4, and Switch. You name it, they got it. Except for Xbox, apparently. Interesting. Wow, look at that. Very, very nice looking thing here. So, dual cables put together. It is a translucent, well, kind of clearish material. On the tail end, you've got a 3.5 female port. And on the male end, you have a USB Type-C port, but it also comes with a USB Type-A adapter. Very nice. So yeah, this is literally what it looks like. It's a dongle. I'm definitely going to use it and test it out. Next up on the list here, we got the Zen lights. So they came with a couple of X packs here. Wow. Yeah. You want the foamies? You got the foamies. My homies, here they are. A bunch of them. Like, wow. These are 3 X-Pack lights. I'll go ahead and double check. I don't know if they include this many in the actual, when you actually purchase the Zen light. This is one of their higher end earbuds. As you can see here, these do not come with a mic because I don't know why you guys do this, but for some reason with the higher end buds, they don't include mics on them for some reason. So this is actually, wow, this is actually really pretty in person. So the cable itself is clear, but the wiring within it is red. That actually looks much better in person than it looks like on images. In images, it looks kind of like dull and faded. Here, it looks like vibrant, like it stands out. It's very, very nice. So as you can see, it's got a plug. It's tip ring sleeve. Nothing too exciting. Pretty basic. Gets the job done. The Y split, made of rubber. Very nice too. I like that. And here are the buds themselves. The Zen Light. Those are definitely slimmer and I want to say a little bit lighter than the regular Monks. Yeah, definitely. And then once you put a bud on these, one of the foamies, it's going to definitely fit pretty nice. So can't wait to test these out, considering these are, well, they're not the budget range either. These are getting up there as far as IEMs, well, IEMs and earbuds in general are concerned. They are definitely not in the pocket change category, that's for sure. Next, we're taking a look at an actual IEM. Now, for those of you who have been following me for, quite some time, I'm not a fan of IEMs. These things are, like, I see these and I go like, oh man, I can't hear myself breathe. I'm gonna like, well, I guess we'll find out, because now I am essentially forced to try them out after years of never using an IEM, because, like I said, ew. And as you can see, it comes with small, medium, large tips as well. Those are pretty nice. I mean, they look pretty basic, but they look like they get the job done, so I can't really complain here. Nice. Hey, Mr. Thanos, how about that? I like that. These don't have a mic either. Yeah, these don't have a mic or button either. So something to point out there. So yeah, I'll test these out as well, and I'll get back to you on that. Next up on the list, we got the Monk Lights. So these are actually one of the earbuds I was considering buying for myself a little while ago, but I never got around to them. This is very, very interesting to see. It's 40 ohms, as you can see right there. Impedance of 40 ohms, sensitivity of 117 decibels per milliwatt. Very, very nice. Alright, okay. So we got some foamies for these two. Looks like we just got one X Light pack. Nothing special, white, red, blue, black. And here are the buds themselves. So, it doesn't look like it has a mic either. I'm pretty sure you can get like a version with a mic on these, but yeah. Very, very thin shell, very lightweight. Finger for reference. There you go. And last but not least, we've got these. These are actually one of the things I was really excited about when I saw them. So we've got, essentially, we got some pads for the KOS PortaPros, KSE75Xs, that line of KOS headphones. Yeah, you can use these as well, and they look pretty nice. They, pretty decent too. Thick, foamy. One thing I will say though, if you recall, I was not a fan of the Yaxi pads. I thought they were too thick. I thought they made the headphone kind of wobble around on your head. And personally, I'd rather just keep the stock foams on. However, these were the ones that kind of surprised me and made me say, well, now this might be a little different. So check this out. These are smaller. Oh, wait a second. I wonder if these are even for the PortaPros. I'll go ahead and test these out. In theory, these are also for the PortaPros, and they're a little different. These are slightly smaller, something good, and not necessarily thinner, but I would say just easier to manage, easier to handle. Now these are going to leave the driver partially exposed, which I think is going to be one of the bigger differences in terms of sound quality and the tonality of the sound that you'll hear altogether. So yeah, once again, actually kind of stoked about these. I'll go ahead and compare them to what I can hear from the stock sound from the Koss headphones, and I will get back to you on that too. Alright, so now it's been quite some time, and I've taken my sweet time burning these in for a little bit, not too long, and testing them out and doing some comparisons, listening to what they sound like, what are they good at, what are they not good at. So let's go ahead and begin with the Monk Plus. And this was the package I got them in. There's the extra stuff. So first and foremost, what I did was I burnt in the new Monk Pluses that I received, and I am comparing them to my pretty much 4-year-old pair of Monk Pluses. So these should be the exact same model, except for the fact that mine came with the one-button mic, and the one sent to me by VE did not have a mic whatsoever. So tip ring sleeve versus tip ring sleeve. Check it out. You can definitely see I put quite some time into these bad boys. These have been around. They're old men. Or women, whatever. I don't judge. So yeah, look, I didn't expect to hear a difference. I was like, fine, they're a little old, but you know what? They're drivers. If they work, they work. Well, I was surprised. The new Monks are overall a tiny bit more intense, slightly brighter on the high end, and slightly meatier on the low end. That said, these are still ultra-budget earbuds, so their extension isn't fantastic or anything. But what is there is definitely pleasant. They're mid-centric earbuds with some pretty decent timbre altogether, especially considering their price point. These are definitely something to look into here. You need a throwaway pair, you throw them away. You need them? Great. You don't need them? You throw them away. They're $6. They're $6 and they deliver a very, very pleasant sound signature. Definitely awesome. Hello. Was cooking. Up next, we are taking a look at the Bonus IEs. Now, I'll be frank, and by the way, I put them back in here and then I just took them out again, so don't think I never listened to these before. I have. You want proof? There's your proof. You see the gunk? That's your proof right there. Anyway, I'll be frank. Right off the bat, I dislike these. I tried putting them on and I realized, okay, so which of these is left and which is right? I just couldn't figure it out here. There's no clear indication of which is left and which is right. Now, I've always struggled with the fitment of ear tips, I'll be frank. They slide out of my ears almost instantly and I struggle to find a good seal. So right off the bat, these have way more bass impact than the Monks do. Hands down. That's to be expected though, since they're straight up closed. So do these sound good? Well, to be honest, it really depends on what you're listening to. Think of that HiFiMAN silvery timbre that's common with their somewhat high-end headphones, like the Ananda and the Arias. If you're listening to something acoustic and less busy, like Get Lucky by Daft Punk, these will sound pretty great. They will sound pretty great, with only some minor sibilance here and there. But something tolerable, something that's more like, I'm okay with the sibilance because of the pros it offers. But then you bust out something electronic and loud, like Bangarang by Skrillex and Syra, and they completely obliterate your ears, and it's any sort of minute detail just crumbles away. Overall, I'm gonna say, I enjoyed these better than I thought they would. I think they sound pretty great for their price, but I don't like them. I don't like IEMs. I don't like the hyped amount of treble here. They're a pain for me to use personally, and they can be a pain to listen to as well. That said, if you're looking for a budget IEM because you just prefer IEMs over earphones, then give these a shot. They're actually pretty interesting. I'm gonna just leave these right here. Get to enjoy that beautiful face. Up next, the Odyssey HD dongle. Listen, I got these in and I was like, what? A dongle that's compatible with Android, Apple, Windows, Linux, PS4, and Switch? Outrageous, that's incredible. And they come with a dongle too, so you can use them with Type A for like a laptop or something, or a PC. And it looks so premium too, look at this, it's clear, it's so nice, it's just so premium looking, right? Nah. So right off the bat, it never worked with my iPad. Straight up, just even though it's advertised as being compatible with Apple devices. It works perfectly fine on my Galaxy S20 Plus though, so that only confirms that this is not a defective unit, it's just the way it works. Now as far as how much juice it gives to your headphones, I use the Monk Plus at 8 or 9 out of 15. I use the Zen Lights, which we'll be discussing pretty soon, at around 10 or 11 out of 15, though it's clear to hear that the Zens just need far more power to feed them properly. Now let's talk about full-sized headphones. I ran the HD 560S at around 9 to 10 out of 15. I can feel that they're about 85 to 90% as full and capable as they would be if you ran them off of a proper amplifier though. Lastly, I ran the HiFiMAN Arias at 12 to 13 out of 15. Once again though, it's clear they need cleaner power and larger quantities to sound their best, just straight up. So to summarize, it's a decent option, but I would not pick up one for myself, especially if I were a pure Apple user. Next, let's take a look at the Monk Lights. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I've been looking at these for quite some time and I thought, these would be pretty interesting to take a look at in general, like not sent out to me, but just straight up, I purchase it with my own funds and listen to them. And, oh man, the wave of emotions from this one. So these sit more comfortably on my ears and are less cumbersome than the Monks due to their lightweight and slimmer profile. So you can see that here. Night and day, they're just slimmer, thinner, more convenient to use altogether, just straight up. Look at that. So that's a huge plus right off the bat. Now I started testing with Reptiles theme by Skrillex, and at first, I was pretty impressed with what I heard here. As it got to the main chorus though, my excitement began to just to dip a little. There's a certain portion of the high end that it emits a noticeable amount of glare or sheen. So I tried going back to get lucky, and although the sheen was less noticeable, it impacted the timbre of vocals, making them sound a little shouty. It also impacted the timbre of cymbals in a similar manner. Now the bass sounds more recessed than the regular Monks, but it also has a slightly more textured response. Overall, it's got some good pros and some bad cons, if we're being honest. It just so happens these few cons just barely push them over to the no side of things, for me though. Especially considering Venture Electronics offers some pretty great alternatives. Now let's address the Zen Lights. So these are the cream of the crop of what they have sent me. There are more expensive earbuds within the Venture Electronics lineup, but these are the most expensive they sent me. So these are the kings for now. Now while I've heard high-end earbuds, I've honestly never heard high-end earphones before. So I had no idea what to expect here. I started by trying these out on my iPad. I was honestly a little underwhelmed at first. They sounded sort of muffled and lacking in the mids and highs, though they did have a relatively accurate punch to the lows. But then I remembered that these are somewhat of a higher impedance earbud, and yeah, sure enough, they're 300 ohms. So I decided to go ahead and plug them in to the THX AAA 789. On gain 1, I played them at around 130, while at gain 2, I played them at around 1130. Now at gain 3, I played them at around 930. To be honest, I'm underwhelmed. I compared them side by side against the Monk Plus, and I prefer the Monk Plus's sound signature, like, quite a bit. I'll say this, the Zen Lights definitely have more bass extension, definitely more capable, but it's a thicker, blocky type of bass. Then the rest of the mids and highs sound muffled and veiled. Like, yeah, if you want to know what the Sennheiser veil is, you look no further. Here it is. I'm really befuddled by what I listen to here, but the facts are facts. Conclusion. So this one's already proven to be quite the extensive video, so I'll leave the cost pads for another week since I feel like they also warrant their own video. So be sure to look out for that one where I'll be comparing the various Venture Electronic pads that you see here to the famous Yaxi pads and taking an in-depth look at them. I'll be doing a size comparison, etc. But for now, that's the end of this video. Once again, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to take a look at these. I've been pretty curious about the lineup for quite some time, so listening to these was a real treat, even if some of them weren't quite my cup of tea. But hey, let me know what you think down below. Anyways, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Okay, ciao.